The Philippine art. Before the colonizers came to the Philippines, ethnic minorities have used art not only for daily activities but also for religious rituals and practices. There are different art forms emerged in the Philippines art scene. Most art forms used by ethnic communities include pottery, weaving, carving and the use of metalwork and jewelry. Weaving. One of the earliest forms of art expression in the Philippines. They are known for the colorful woven cloth, which is also known for their women abaca cloth called tanalik. They use this particular to make ornaments, which also represent their beliefs through symbols. In Mindanao, Torsig and Maranao people are known for their okia, which are designs applied to their wood carvings. Their common subjects include the Saramanic Naga and the Paco Rabong. Each subject represents a certain theme or motif, but generally, these symbols depict their beliefs as a people. The Naga forms an S-shaped, depicting an elaborate figure of a mythical dragon or serpent. The numerous curved lines serving as detail for the figure depicts the scales. The fern gracefully stems and tapers upward. The Saramanic and Naga are usually used as ornamental designs for the houses of the sultans. Things Ancient Styles produces a unique artwork characterized by delicate swirling and interwoven lines, multi-layered texture and an illusion of three-dimensional space. Art was used by the Spaniard to propagate their Christian faith while at the same time, establish their foothold in the century. The church became the sole patron of the arts. Art became one of the venues for Filipino nationalism and stood against the colonizers' would-be Wanlunas, spoliarium. Philippines liberated from the Spanish rule, the Americans took over to establish a colonial government. They also propagated their culture and beliefs through the implementation of public school systems. Philippines became independent state, transitioning into the formation of its national identity. Artist focused on modern takes when it comes to content, form and subject matter. Art should be done as proletarian art, or art for art's sake. 1990s proved to be a period of modernism and dynamism with a lot of styles, techniques and methods emerging. Most artwork were reflections of the political, social and economic situation of the Philippines during Marcos administration. A period wherein people embodied and advocated for nationalist idea. When former President Marcos declared martial law, social realism became the norm. Most artwork were form of protest against government suppression of freedom of speech and expression. Some of artwork reflected issues like economic problems, land performers, gender rights, workers' rights and cultural minorities plaguing the Filipino people brought by martial law. Photography has evolved into an art form, which highlights various artistic expression evident in variety of events, scene and activities. The advent of the colonial arrival to the island started. The modern-day Philippines, as it was during that time United Islands of today known as the Philippines, was created. These cultures that melted from pre-colonial internal and external influence is very evident in the pre-modern arts and tradition of the Philippines. Sculptures. Of all the new art forms introduced, the Filipino took to sculpture from the Spanish instantly. The carving of Anato was transformed into sculptures of the saints. Santos were used primarily for the church altars and retablos. It also replaced the Anatos in the altars of the native homes. Juan de los Santos, ca. 1590 ca. 1660, of San Pablo, Laguna. Sculptor and silversmith. Guillermo Tolentino. 1890–1976. Bonifacio Monument, a group sculpture composed of numerous figures massed around a central obelisk. Leader of the revolution against Spain in 1896. Napoleon Abueva, born 1930. The pioneering modernists in sculpture. He used various media. One of Tolentino's pupil, Friedsfinder, which was included in the first ASEAN Sculpture Symposium held in Fort Canning Hill, Singapore, from March 27 to April 26, 1981 shows the vitality of primitive forms. Famous Philippine artists. Felix Resurrection Hidalgo. 1855–1913. He won a silver medal for his entry in large canvas, Christian Virgins exposed to the populace at the Madrid Exposition of Fine Arts. The Artist's Mother 1888. Juan Luna, 1857–1899. Won a gold medal in the 1948 Madrid Exposition. Stayed on a apartment close to the Hidalgos. The Dream of Love. The celebrated Tampujan. Fernando Amorcillo, 1892–1972. Was a national artist awardee. 1920–1945. Golden years went to Madrid. Year 1917. The Blind Man. Some of his artworks. The Burning of Manila. Antipolo. Vicente Manansala, 1910–1981. Most popular progressive artist recognized as National Artist. Year 1982. Carlos Batong v. Francisco. 1912–1969. One of the best mural artists in the Philippines. Stayed in Agano. Had his own version of post-impressionism. Mauro Malang Santos. 1928–2017. Illustrator, cartoonist, abstract painting. Jose Joya. 1931–1955. Magna cum laude at the University of the Philippines in 1953. Grand Book Academy of Art in 1957. Famous Philippine composers. Col. Antonio Buenaventura. He obtained a teacher's diploma in composition and conducting from the University of the Philippines. And later on became a faculty member of the Art Conservatory of Music. In 1987 he was commissioned into the military service and later became music and band conductor of the PMA in Baguio City. He composed short piano song pieces, hymns and songs, pieces, and theater music. Lucio de San Pedro. 1912–2002, he married Gertrudes Diaz with 5 children. During his graduation in grade 7 he played the Poet and Peasant Overture on banjo. He started composing song in college. He was assistant conductor to conductor. He conducted the musical Philippines Philharmonic Orchestra and a musical presented at the Metropolitan Theatre. He was connected with major conservatories in the country and wrote sacred and secular vocal music, overtures, tones, poems, symphonies, poems, and quartets. Felipe Padilla de Leon. A composer, conductor and a former student at UP Conservatory of Music. He was appointed assistant instructor at the UP Department of Science and Composition. He became a technical assistant on cultural affairs in the office of the President of the Philippines. He was a president of the Filipino Society of Composer, Authors and Publisher. He was a president of the Pambansang Samahan NGMGA Banda SA Pilipinas and the Diwa NG Nueva Ecija. A trustee of the Music Promotion Foundation of the Philippines. Director of the SONGFEST Philippines and Felon Institute of the Philippines. Lucrecia R. Casalag. Obtained a music teacher's diploma major in piano from St. Scholastica's University. She was a scholar grantee of Fulbright Foundation at the Eastern School of Music degree major in theory and minor composition. Antonio Molina. Versatile musician, composer and music educator. A faculty member of the UP Conservatory of Music. He was a conductor in the concert stage of various schools, church, choirs, orchestra, bands and rondellas. He was a member of UP President Committee on Filipino Folk Songs and Dances and a secretary of the Conservatory of Music. Molina's most familiar composition is Hatinggabi, a serenade for solo violin and piano accompaniment. Other works of orchestral music: Misa Antoniana, Grand Festival Mass, Ang Batingaf, Kundaman Kundangan, chamber music Hatinggabi, string quartet, Kung Sa Ayong Gunata, Pandangan, vocal music Amahan, the Whitney Maria Clara, Larawan Nitong Pilipinas.